Yerp, 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 yerp. Testing, testing. Yerp, 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 yerp. Perfect. Hope everyone is having a great, what day is today? Wednesday. Hope everyone is having a great Wednesday so far. Hope everyone has had a good week so far. Um, Today's session is gonna go by pretty quick, team. Pretty much, I just posted the link. We're good. Okay, cool. Pretty much what I was explaining in the Discord, right? So, again, we already know this week alone has been pretty crazy, right? There's been a lot of moves happening, especially during Asia London session. Real quick, we could look at the charts for FOMC. I was pretty much just looking at US 30. That was what I was really waiting to see if price wanted to move. Nothing really happened. Gold flew like crazy. I believe silver, same thing during FOMC. Just flew like crazy. So, again, nothing out of the ordinary. Is not something that we're not expecting, right? Especially in the zone that we're in. We're in a huge zone of consolidation on the 30-minute time frame with US 30. Where are we? Right? In the middle of the zone of consolidation. Not only that, 800 EMA. Market makers, we already know the tendencies, guys. We already know where we're at. We're in an area in the market, right? A zone of consolidation is an area in the market where the market makers are trapping traders, inducing traders to get into a trade to hunt for stop losses. That's the definition of a zone of consolidation. We look at the behavior of the market today. What did price do? Move sideways. What is sideways movement? A zone of consolidation. What does a zone of consolidation do? It traps traders, induces traders to get into a trade to hit their stop losses, right? From 9 in the morning all the way till 5 p.m. What did price do? Induce traders going long, hit their stop loss. Induce traders going short, hit their stop loss, right? Went back down, went back up. Induce traders going long during the FOMC, and what happened? Came back down. Induce traders again, thinking that price was we're gonna continue these downtrend pushes. What happened? Went back to the top, right? All the traders who wanted to trade this after FOMC, after the news, what happened? Crazy candles, crazy wicks, just exhaustion candles going left and right the entire time. So again, I said this yesterday, I said this on Monday, I said this during the weekly market breakdown. Trading gets very, very easy if you understand where you're at in the market, right? We don't have to babysit trades. We don't have to sit here being anxious and nervous about, oh, this is going to happen and FOMC and NFP and whatever other things you guys want to factor in. It's very easy. What is price doing? Consolidating. Cool. What am I waiting for? I'm waiting for a break. I don't care to catch the tippity tops to catch sells. I don't care about catching the bottoms of the bottoms, the lows of the lows to catch buys. I don't need to look cool on social media. I'm okay. Right? I'm completely fine with that. I don't need to flex on people. Oh, look, I caught the highest highs and now I'm catching the shorts. Like, I don't care about none of that. I'm catching what I know is going to happen. And one thing that nobody knows is what's going to happen during news. So why are we forcing trades? We're going to full port FOMC. Okay, go do that. If that's the gamble you want to take, go and do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to teach that. And I hope that the people in our group, I hope we're already way past that in our trading careers. Right? This is something where, again, we already know what's happening. We're moving sideways. What do we know happens when price is moving sideways? Trapping traders. Okay. If you know that when the stove is on, it's hot, and if you touch the stove, you're going to burn yourself. Why would you touch the stove when it's on? Doesn't make any sense. You know that if you go touch that alligator, you're going to get bit. Why are you going to put yourself in danger's way? Same thing in the markets. You already know what a zone of consolidation is. Why are we even thinking about catching a trade here? Like, why is that even a thought process? It should be very simple. You guys weren't in the call. I didn't stream today, but I was in Discord. You know what Ken doing? We're just looking at the chart, and I'm like, yo, we're just moving sideways. Like, there's nothing to trade here. Like, yeah, I'm looking at, I'm obviously watching the press conference, but in the back of my head and what I'm saying out loud, I'm just like, You know, I don't care what this guy says. I don't care what this lunatic says on this press conference. I'm waiting for that break to happen, regardless of anything else. Did we get the break? No. So there's no trades. That's it. It's that simple. It really is that simple. This isn't rocket science. You know, I'm not looking at all the parabolic moves and we've moved all this and price has to go. Yo, completely false. Give me 1 second. I'm getting a phone call. All right. So again, for those watching the recording, and I'm back. My bad. You know, if you guys have any questions, leave the questions you have in the comment section. If you have, give me 1 second. Sorry, guys. I'm still dealing with the bullshit from my car, and they need pictures of my VIN number and all this other shit. I'm sorry about that. Give me 1 minute. Um, so anyway, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Anything you guys want me to go over, any specific pairs, let me know. Again, if not, it's gonna be a pretty quick session. You know, I've been on my chart on the charts all day today, so pretty much all my charts are updated when it comes to the daily moves, right? The 30-minute moves. Um, you know, for specific pairs, we're gonna have to update, you know, our 4 hour highs, daily highs, whatever the case is. We'll do that in this stream. But outside of that, guys, again, I'm not really looking to probably trade this entire week for the rest of this week. Tomorrow's already Thursday. You guys already know Friday. I'm not really trading Fridays. Outside of that, let's look at Forex Factory real quick. We know today was the news day. Thursday we have news at 8:30 in the morning. So tomorrow morning we'll have an unemployment claim. So we'll look at the charts on it. Obviously we'll be on it. And then Friday we have news at 8:30 as well. Um, you know, factoring in the fact that we didn't have no volume today on the chart, specifically for US 30, you know, is there a chance, is there a possibility that we might be able to catch something good, at least another trade for this week? Yeah, it could be a nice trade. Um, but again, it really just all depends on what the market wants to do in these situations right now, where we're at, where price is at, where structure is heading, you know, what we're doing. There's a whole bunch of things to factor in at this point where price is at. Sorry, team. Give me 1 minute. I gotta make a quick phone call and then we will get started. So I'll just give everybody a few minutes to join. I just gotta make a quick phone call. Um, Alright, my bad, guys. Oh shit, I gotta make the phone call. Fuck. Give me 1 minute, man. Year was good, Kendall. My bad, I'm starting now. I was on the phone with the person that's gonna make my key for the fucking ignition switch and all this shit. My bad. We good though. I'm about to start now. Alright, so let's get started again, guys. It's gonna be a pretty quick session. I pretty much already took it upon myself to update, the 30-minute time frame. So, there's a lot of pairs that we have new 4-hour highs, new 30-minute highs like AU. Really nothing to update just yet. We just gotta wait for those new highs to be set. Um, what else? Outside of that, again, guys, outside of that, um, there's really nothing else. I mean, there's nothing else I could add. Kendall, you want to add on to anything else? 30-minute engulfing going short, I think is a fake out though. For what pair? Hey, brothers, I'm glad you're doing the session earlier. What's good, Albert? Yeah, for tonight, I'm definitely gonna do it a little bit earlier. Yeah, it might not be, it's definitely not gonna be a thing what we're gonna do, because, we gotta let price. Gotta let price marinate a little bit, before we do these sessions, so we know where the 30-minute highs are, stuff like that. But for today, we'll do it a little bit earlier. For US 30, gotcha. We'll talk about it once I get to that pair. All right, so let's get started again. Gonna be a pretty quick session. For pairs like AU, there's really nothing to talk about. Price is still making higher highs, higher lows. We're reaching back to the top of the zone of consolidation. So this is just a pair that, we'll go more into depth with a lot of these pairs this weekend for the weekly market breakdown. For today, again, I just kind of want to update, um, these pairs just to see if we have any continuations, anything to talk about. Again, same thing with ACAD. We're back at the daily highs, the 4-hour highs, the 30-minute highs. You can see that we just made another just inducement wick at the top side. Um, Nothing really to talk about. We still have those gaps at the bottom, but we're still making higher highs and higher lows. At this point, ACAD is going to be a pair very similar to AU that we just need to wait for price to start making lower lows and lower highs, right? So I do like the area that we're in, but once again, it's a little too early to tell, especially at this point, right? The market just opened. We don't really have any candlesticks printing for the Thursday session, so we'll just have to be patient. And again, for most of these pairs, we can see how EA is moving, right? We're already below the 4-hour lows. Let's zoom out here, right? EA is one that's in level 3, right? And we're pretty much just waiting for a higher low to be set. The first point of interest that we were looking for was completely disrespected, right? So now our second point of interest, which is this gap that we had on the daily time frame down here at these lows. If we zoom in, we can see that real quick, right? We just gotta let price do what it has to do. Also, the 800 EMA. The 4-hour lows, I'm not gonna update them just yet since we don't have a set low. We're just gonna let price do what it has to do here. And then on the 30-minute, pretty much very similar. We don't have these set lows just yet, so we're just gonna keep it like this for now. And then tomorrow morning for tomorrow's trading session, we'll go ahead and update the lows whenever they need. But again, this is another pair still making lower lows and lower highs. Gotta wait for price to turn around. ECAD, we're in peak high territory. We had a change. We had the valid break. Valid break gave us a retest. Price never filled the gap up. Continued, gave us 2 days of rise. Then gave us that third day push with the wick as soon as the markets open, and then just tanked the entire day. Price is just moving down, and we ended up filling up the gap for the day. So again, a lot of these pairs are doing what they have to do. It's just more of waiting for the right direction, right? And then 4-hour, we made lower low, lower high, lower low. Price came up, gave us an inducement, so we don't even gotta update our 4-hour highs just yet. Um, on the 30 minute, I'm gonna say that we are trading higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, and then boom, price gave us the lower low change of character, right? So at least we could update our 30-minute lows down here. Just so we could have a little bit of an area. And again, guys, any questions, anything you guys want me to go over, let me know. Once again, today's session is going to be pretty quick. I'm not gonna. There's really nothing to talk about. This is the biggest reason why I wanted to turn the stream on today as well, was to just update my charts with you guys. But I updated my charts a little bit earlier, about like an hour and a half ago, and I already saw. I'm like, yo, there's really nothing to talk about. Like, there's really nothing to talk about, and there's probably, you know, a 10% chance that we might even trade, or I at least, that I probably won't even trade for the rest of the week. And I'll just let price do what it has to do this weekend. I'll be back on Sunday. But if you guys have any questions, just let me know. GA is another one. We're in peak high territory, so I'm not even going to be trading that one. I'm mostly just updating, again, the 30-minute time frame, 30-minute highs and lows. GCAD in a huge zone of consolidation as well. Still trading between our previous lower lows and lower highs. This is another one that right now, just got to wait it out for this one. I might be sending something your way via Discord. Alright, bet. GJ gap. Yep, we still got that gap on GJ. 30-minute time frame, we had higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Price gave us a higher high, right? Then price gave us a change of character, lower low, and now we're trading between these lows over here. And we have a day of rise. And again, at this point, GJ is gonna keep it simple for us since we have that gap. And then on the 4-hour, we had an inducement of the high, and then we also have an inducement of the low. So price here is just trapping traders going both ways at this point. GJ could be a good one to keep an eye on for sure, right? And we'll be targeting that gap. So I'd love to see price give us some sort of pullback here, and then on the 5-minute time frame, 5-minute time frame, we had the lower low change of character, and then we had a higher high change of character here, and then price just decides to move sideways at these highs. Didn't give us a valid break just yet of these highs. Pretty much movement, sideways movement on GJ as of right now. So we'll just keep this marked up, and GJ is gonna be one for tomorrow to keep an eye on. That's gonna be an interesting pair to look at. GU, very similar structure and very similar when it comes to looking at like EU, for example. GU and EU are pretty similar at this point. No continuations, still making higher high, higher low. Come on, TradingView, don't do this to me. Higher high, higher low, and higher high. Right, again, this is another pair where we're gonna update our 4-hour highs and daily highs and everything. We'll update this weekend in the weekly market breakdown. I'm not gonna do that right now. We're gonna let price breathe a little bit, give us more confirmations, and then we'll go on and attack that this weekend. We could look for a tight pattern on GJ. Let's go back to it. Yeah, that's a good thing, right? So like, yes, if price decides to continue to just consolidate, right? For GJ is a pair that usually moves during Asia session. So let's say like anywhere between now and 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, right? It's a end of London or end of Asia going into London session. If it decides to continue this structure, then yes, right? This could definitely be, either a type 1 pattern, which usually GJ is very notorious with the type 1 patterns, especially with the big moves. But it could be one of the type patterns. We'll be waiting for that for GJ. NZD USD, we could go ahead and delete this already. Right, we talked about this. 4-hour highs need to be updated. 30-minute, we're trading higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, into the new higher highs now, where the market just gave us a new high. We could go ahead and just update this real quick. And again, like I've been saying, the 4-hour lows and highs, we're just gonna update them this weekend. We still got 4 minutes for this candle. We'll put it as a day of rise for now. US 30. You said, what'd you say about US 30? You said US 30, 30-minute engulfing going short. Right, yeah. It's a little bit of an engulfing candle. It's not a good looking one, but it is a small engulfing. But again, in a zone of consolidation, no breaks, nothing. Right, there's really nothing to talk about on this one, right? We know that this is most likely a fake out, just based on the fact that we are in a zone of consolidation, right? The same thing we've been seeing all day. You've been on the charts all day with me, right? How many engulfing candles did we see get printed? Not only, you know, on the 5-minute time frame, 1-minute time frame, 1-hour time frame, right? There was a whole 15-minute time frame. There was a whole bunch of engulfing candles here, right? But same thing that I said when I first turned the stream on. I don't think you were here in time for that when I said it, but you know, again, zone of consolidation, we already know, right? Trapping traders the entire day since 9 in the morning all the way till now. So I'm not really, you know, like the last thing that I told you before we got out of the call, you know, the number one thing I'm waiting for is the breaks. Once I get the break, then I'll start trading it, right? So right now, US 30, you know, I don't really care about anything that's really inside of this, because even if you were trading this on the lower time frames, um, my bad, I got a text. You know, even on the lower time frames, lower time frame on the 1-minute time frame gave us an inducement of these lows, right? And after it gave us the inducement of the low, it gave us a nice little engulfing candle, right? And I believe that on TradingView it wasn't valid, but on Trade Locker, it was a valid engulfing candle, right? And it came up back to the top side. So again, I'm not really at this point with US 30. We're gonna go back to the basics, right? We're in a zone of consolidation. Cool. I don't really care about that. Right? I'll wait for the breaks. Once we get the breaks, then I'll start trading it again. Everything that's being printed inside of that, I'm just letting it go. I'm not really too interested in it right now. Why did you update the highs on NZD USD when it didn't break just yet on those highs? Let's go look at it real quick. Did I make a mistake or? Right. NZD USD, we have higher high, higher low, higher high. We got the break that happened here. If you put a line from here to here, makes it a little bit more visible to see. Minute BOS. Right, you had the break that happened up here. So now we're trading higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low into these higher highs over here. Let me know if that made sense, Inferno. True, my bad, is all good. For gold, you know, you guys already know me and gold. I'm not really trading gold right now, but we'll keep it updated. As I said, we still got that gap at the bottom of the market, still making higher highs and higher lows, right? Price gave us higher high, higher low, and higher highs, so we're really trading between these lows over here, and then these highs still aren't set. So very similar to what I was saying about the daily and the 4-hour time frame. Same thing with the 30. We don't have a set high just yet. So this is another pair that just tomorrow morning when we wake up and we get back on the charts, you know, I'll update the 30-minute highs and lows. But the daily and the 4-hour highs and lows will update that this weekend in the weekly market breakdown. Bitcoin, we still got 2 hours left for this to finish, so I'm not going to update this just yet. But we are still on a downtrend, still making lower lows and lower highs. We had 2 days of rise. Today being the third day, gave us that third day push. For US oil, right? We are still trading higher high, higher low. Then price came back to the highs. We have 2 days of rise. Still on that little internal uptrend. And again, on the daily time frame, we're pretty much just waiting for a lower high point to be set to then continue those downtrend pushes. So US oil will just be a little patient with it. I'm not in no rush with oil. And then the last pair is silver, very similar to gold, still trading higher high, higher low, higher high. Price came down, gave us a higher low in the last 2 days. Price has just been pushing back up to the top side. So again, similar to the other pairs that we've seen, we're back at the daily highs, the 4-hour highs, we're back at the 30-minute highs. At this point, we just got to be a little patient. Wait for price to turn around and start making lower lows and lower highs before we start taking these trades again. But even on the 5-minute time frame, we have a 5-minute engulfing candle, right? A bearish engulfing candle going short. We're going to keep this marked just in case. Again, just because I have an engulfing candle, does that mean I'm getting into the trade? Absolutely not. But it's a good area to just keep in mind, right? This is a good zone to keep in mind on the 1-minute time frame. This is not a valid engulfing candle, so we're not going to mark that up. That would have been a good one, though. But that's pretty much it. Again, guys, like I said in the beginning of the stream when I first turned it on, I'm not really too interested in any of these pairs for pretty much the rest of the week. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm not really interested in any of these pairs for the rest of the week. But nonetheless, we'll continue to look at the pairs tomorrow and then on Friday as well. And then again, we'll update everything else that we need to, the daily highs and 4-hour highs and the continuations, this weekend for the weekly market breakdown. What makes that engulfing candle invalid? Great question, Inferno. So in order for an engulfing candle, right, we'll draw it out and then we will show you on the chart, right? So an engulfing candle, right, bearish or bullish, and I'll draw them both out, right? So you have a bearish engulfing candle, right, which is going to be the pattern you're looking for is 2 green candles, right? And then you're looking for the third candle to be the engulfing candle, right? The number one thing you want to make sure is that each candle in the pattern, the 3 candles you're looking at, you want to make sure that they all have top and bottom wicks, right? And you also want to make sure that the second candle, the second green candle in the bearish engulfing candle pattern, you want to make sure that the body of the second green candle closes above the wick, right? Above the first candle's wick. And then you also want to make sure that the engulfing candle, which is the red candle, you want to make sure that it closes below the body of the first green candle's wick. So it's the same thing when you're looking for the bullish engulfing candle, just vice versa, right? You're looking at the red candle, and then you have the top and the bottom wicks, and then you have the green engulfing candle that also has a top and a bottom wick, and it also needs to close above the first red the body of the first red candle, right? And then this is where you're expecting price to give you the retest to continue, and then vice versa, you're looking for price to give you the retest to continue to go short, right? So when you're looking at the engulfing candles on the actual chart, for example, this one here on the 5-minute time frame, if we zoom into it, you could see that each candle, 1, 2, 3, this is the bearish engulfing candle, right? First green candle has a top and a bottom wick, second candle has a top and a bottom wick, and then the third candle, which is the engulfing candle, the red candle has a bottom wick, it has a top wick, and it closed below the body of the first green candle, right? If you go down to the 1-minute time frame, and I'll ask you the question first, based on what we just said, right? Based on those rules that I just told you, is this pattern here, these 3 candles, is this a valid engulfing candle? Why or why not? Let me know in the chat. This engulfing pattern here, 2 red candles, the green candle closed above the body, the first red candle, is this a valid engulfing candle here? Let me know. I'll give you 10 seconds in the chat. Yes or no? 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. He says yes it is, but then you said no wait, it has no wick. Right, exactly. Right, this is not a valid engulfing candle because the red candle doesn't have a top wick. Right, it has a bottom wick, it's a very small wick. The next candle has a top and a bottom wick. The next candle, the third candle, has a top and a bottom wick. Right, but the first initial candle, which is the red candle, it doesn't have a top wick, so it's not valid. Right, so same thing when you're looking at this one up here. Right, why is this one invalid? And I'll ask you the question again. Right, the first candle, the second candle, and the third candle. Is this a valid engulfing candle or not? 1, 2, 3. I'll give you another 10 seconds in the chat to answer yes or no in the chat. 3, 2, 1. Let's go back. Right, the third candle has no wick. Exactly. Right, so because this candle, the red candle, what would have been the engulfing candle, right? Yes, even though the first two candles had top and bottom wicks, and even though the engulfing candle closed below the body of the first the body of the first green candle, right? It's not valid because it doesn't have a wick. Right? So that's the reason why this is an invalid engulfing candle. You have to make sure that every time you're looking for an engulfing candle, you want to make sure that it's following those same rules. It needs to have the top and the bottom wicks. The second green candle, in this case, since it's a bearish engulfing candle, you need to make sure that that second candle closes above the first green candle's wick, right? And you need to make sure that the body closes below the first candle wick, right? So to have another, something else that you're probably questioning, or, oh, if this is a bearish engulfing candle, shouldn't we take the trade right away, right? No. The answer to that is no. And the reason why is, again, same thing that we were talking about in yesterday's trading session in the morning. If you want to go back and rewatch it, if you weren't there for it, we explained that on AU, right? Let's go back to AU so I can give you the example, right? Even though AU had an engulfing candle going short, market structure is still making higher highs and higher lows, right? So as a trader, you have to ask yourself, why are you taking a trade going short, right? Why are you selling when market structure is still higher highs and higher lows, right? So it's very similar to what's going on with silver right now, right? Yes, even though we have a bearish engulfing candle, market structure is still higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, right? So could price continue these pushes to the top side? Absolutely. And that's the reason why I always say, like, regardless of the confirmation of your entry model, right? And this is why I don't want you to get confused between, entry models and market structure, right? Because again, an entry model is, what everybody teaches: double bottoms, double tops, flag post patterns, fair value gaps, order blocks, right? It's very easy for somebody who's teaching you how to trade to say, oh, all you're looking for is a double top in the market, right? The M formation. M formation in the market is a downtrend. Or vice versa, a double bottom, which is a W. Oh, a W, when you see that on the charts, it means that price is going to go up. But that's not always the case, right? Because every day in the market makers are always printing W's and M's. The market makers are always printing fair value gaps and order blocks. The market makers are always printing engulfing candles, right? But the whole thing is that when you connect your entry models to market structure, that's where you see the difference between traders who have a 30%, 40%, 60% win rate compared to traders who have a 75, 80, 85, 90% win rate, right? It's just that understanding that, yes, even though an entry model has appeared on the charts, even though we have an entry model here, which is a bearish engulfing candle, we understand that market structure is still making higher highs and higher lows, right? If the market is still bullish, why are we looking to take a bearish trade, right? Especially before we have lower lows and lower highs, before we have any inducements. Right now, price is just flying to the top side. So that's another reason why you want to be careful with those entry models. Check your DMs. I got you, Albert. Yeah, you always need structure. Entry comes last. Exactly. Structure comes first above everything else, right? Once you confirm, I'll give you the example, right? Once you confirm, okay, cool. Price is making higher highs and higher lows, right? Higher high, higher low, higher high. Boom, right? Price gives you another higher low point. Let's say price starts giving you, let's say it gives you an equal high or it gives you an inducement of the high, and then it gives you a lower low change of character, lower high, lower low break of structure. This is when I'll start looking for those engulfing candles, right? And then that's when I'll be looking for price to start tapping into those engulfing candles to then continue back down to the bottom. Or vice versa on it. When price is on a downtrend, then you're looking for price to go back to the top side, right? So you always got to make sure that you're following market structure, right? The moment that you start forgetting to look at market structure and you're just getting into trades just based on, oh, there's a W, or oh, there's a M, or oh, there's a bearish or bullish engulfing candle, that's when you're going to notice that you're just taking trades every day just to take it, and you're losing way more than you're winning. So you want to make sure that you're always looking at market structure first. Hey bro, talking about GJ, should we consider this as a break since price closed above but did not have another candle closing above the previous green candle, which does not touch? So you're on the 30-minute time frame. Let's go back to GJ. So here, right, on GJ you have higher high, higher low, higher high. Right here, you do not have a valid break. But again, Albert, like I've explained to you many, 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 many times, right? When you're looking at structure, again, when you're looking at structure, not when you're looking for your entry, right? When you're looking at structure, all you're looking for is for price to be above, especially on the 30-minute. Again, I told you this already. On the 4-hour, the daily time frame, a little bit different. On the 30-minute time frame, yes. On the 30-minute time frame, we are trading higher high, higher low, higher high, and this is where price gave us that change of character to give us the lower low. Again, when you're looking at structure, however, when you're looking for your entry model, is this a valid break of structure to say that this is where price is going to give you a higher high, higher low to continue into a higher high? No. Because again, in order for this to be a valid BOS, in order for you to take a trade knowing that, oh, this is higher high and we're looking for a higher low to continue into a higher high, you need to see a valid break. And price did not give you a valid break. But again, when you're looking at market structure, yes, you're going to mark this as a higher high point. You're going to mark this as a higher high point, and then you can see that price gave you a change of character down to the bottom lower low. Let me know if that made sense, Albert. And let me know if you have any other questions, Inferno. 5-minute structure on GJ. 5-minute structure on GJ, we had 5-minute structure. We have, let me just take a step back real quick. Okay. Low, low, high, higher, low, higher, high, low. Right, 5-minute structure on GJ. We're pretty much trading between these lows, change of character, lower low, and these highs. And then price gave us a change of character, higher high here. Right, this is where we have the change of character high. And then price gave us higher high, higher low, and then hasn't given us a valid break. It was just an inducement. and then price here gave us a lower low change of character, right? So on the 5-minute time frame, I'm not really looking at anything on GJ either right now. Could we use the 5-minute? Absolutely, because we are already super close to it, at this point. But once again, for GJ, we're just stuck in a horrible line. Sorry, we're just stuck in a zone of consolidation. So I'll be looking more at the 15, 30-minute time frame and looking for that type 1, type 2, type 3 pattern type of situation. Because again, we can't even, in this case, we can't say, oh, this is going to be a good flag post pattern. We can't, because this isn't connected to any structure, right? This isn't a 30-minute structure. This isn't a 30-minute break. There is no structure here on the 30-minute to say, oh, this could just be a flag post pattern, right? So I'll be looking at the 5-minute time frame, but right now there's no continuation. There is no break. There's no change break of structure going to the uptrend. Right now, price is just moving sideways. Yes, it makes perfect sense. Last one, you're supposed to move the rectangle zones, right? That's for structure. Yes. Yes. Whenever you make a new high and a new low, you're gonna be moving your 30-minute highs and your 30-minute lows. So that's the reason why you see that I had, right, at one point we were higher high, higher low, higher high, right? Price gave us this 30-minute high and the 30-minute low here, and then price gave us the change of character that gave us the low. So now that's why you see that my 30-minute low is down here and my 30-minute high is over here. All right, cool. All right, cool. Any other questions, Inferno? Any other questions, Mr. Albert, Mr. Kendall? Anything else you want me to talk about? If not, then that's pretty much it. And again, like really the only pair that could pretty much give us like a valid trade would be GJ. GJ for tomorrow is going to be that one pair we want to keep an eye on. So we'll be live again tomorrow morning if we see something. Thank you, bro. No problem, Albert. Yeah, I got you, Inferno. Give me 1 second. Are you back home? No, I'm still in Miami. Albert. The car's still fucked. I had the mechanic come again today. We're gonna have to tomorrow morning at like 10 a.m. I have a locksmith coming in to make a new key for the new ignition switch that I got, and then hopefully tomorrow too at the same time I'll have the mechanic come to my house again, and he's just gonna replace the old ignition switch and put the new one in. And then hopefully that's it, man. Hopefully that's the problem, cause the car was good for like 2 3 days again, and then yesterday or before yesterday, my battery light came back on the dashboard. Um, and again, at this point, the only thing that I haven't switched out was the ignition switch. This is the only thing that's messed up. We checked the alternator. The alternator's again brand new and it's working fine. There's no shortages. The battery is brand new. Same thing. It's charging good. The testing and everything that we did for it, everything was good with the battery. Um, we even beforehand with the new ignition switch that I have, I told the mechanic today, I'm like, yo, can we just try something and just switch out the cables to see if it's that the cable on one of the cables on the ignition switch might be just short circuited. He's like, yeah, we could do that real quick. So we switched out one of the cables that I thought was the problem. Um, and no, it had the same problem even with the new cable. So at this point, it's just the ignition switch. So the we'll have to I'm gonna have to do that tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow or sometime this week, and then after we fix that, hopefully the car would be good to go. And the engine will not go out anymore. Yeah, I mean the engine never went out. It was just more of the all the lights on the dashboard were turning on, and like my it was just sending signals. I don't even know how to explain it, man. Like, because my car still thinks that the key is in the ignition even though it's not, that's what was draining the battery the entire time, right? And then obviously with the computer component of the car thinking that the key was in the ignition when it wasn't, it was just short circuiting everything at once. But the engine is good. There's nothing wrong with the engine or anything. We tested everything out in the last like 2 weeks. That's all I've been doing, just been dealing shit with the car. So hopefully by the end of this week I'll be good, and then hopefully I'll be back home. Maybe, bro, maybe I'll be back home like the second week of February. My sister's birthday, that she lives here in Miami, her birthday's on the 18th of February. So there's no point in me going, driving back home to then drive back down, for her birthday to drive back up. So at this point, I'm just planning on leaving. I'm planning on leaving on like the 20th or something of February, and then I'll be back home. Okay, thank goodness things are getting better. Yeah, man, I hope so. I hope that's the last thing. Right now I'm still confused on what level I'm in. I want to know when I went into the next level. Is it about when we make a new markup? No. So just to answer that first question, Inferno, if you're still here now, I'll message you this as well so you have it in writing. The levels that you're in all have to deal with the overall market maker's pattern. So I'll give you an example with AU, and this is gonna be a better question to go over this weekend. So I'll give you like the little laps of it on AU, but this is a better question to ask for this weekend. So in the overall trend, which is always going to be most likely always going to be on the daily time frame, right? We have peak high territory, right? So this is level 1 on the downtrend, and then you have the first zone of consolidation, which is A1 on a downtrend. Then you have the second level where price is trending. Then you have the second zone of consolidation, which is A2, right? So right now we understand that in on AU, right, we had the break of the zone of consolidation. So technically speaking, right now we are in level 3 for AUD USD, and we're expecting that third push to be given, and we're looking for something like this, for price to do something like this, for price to give us that third push to the bottom to reach our previous peak lows from our previous trend, right? And then vice versa from the uptrend, right? On the uptrend, you had push 1 to the top side, the first zone of consolidation. Let me zoom in here so it could be a little bit easier to see, right? You have the first push, the first zone of consolidation on an uptrend, which is V1. Then you have level 2. Then you have the second zone of consolidation, which is V2. And then you have level 3, right? And after the market gives you that third push, it turns around and then starts the downtrend. And then again, push 1, first zone of consolidation, push 2, second zone of consolidation, which is this entire zone that we're currently still in, and now we're looking for push number 3 to be given. So the levels all have to deal with the overall market maker's pattern. But again, we'll touch more about that on the weekend for the weekly market breakdown. So first break, then consolidation, then second break, then consolidation, then third week, and the trend is over, something like that. No, that's completely wrong. right? It's the first level, then the first zone of consolidation, the second level, then the second zone of consolidation, then the third level, right? It has nothing to do with the weeks or the months, right? The weeks and the months just are continuations on the trend the same way for, the months when you have 2 months of rise, that's just a continuations when you're looking to take trades, right? Where like on the daily time frame, right, you have the continuations on the 4 hour time frame. Right, let's turn off the session breaks here real quick. Right, on the 4 hour time frame, you have the continuations, right? You have a week of rise, 2 weeks of rise, third push to the top side, then you have a week of drop, then you have a week of rise, right? AU is a pretty bad example of that right now because we're trading counter trends, but goes into what we were talking about earlier, why we don't trade counter trend. Um, and then the same thing on the 30-minute time frame. On the 30-minute time frame, you have the continuations to the top side, right? 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, etc., etc. But the market maker's pattern is completely different than what we were talking about for today. I'm getting flashbacks, bro. I mean, third break, not third week. That was the typo. Yeah, the third push. You want to say the breaks? It would be the third push. Level 1, level 2, level 3, pretty much. Level 1, level 2, level 3, or push 1, push 2, push 3. That's funny though, Albert. Yeah, I forget, yo. Albert really was a rookie at one point. How many one-on-one sessions did we have, Albert? Of just going overall what the market maker's pattern is and what it looks like and all that. But any other questions, guys? Let me know. Anything else you want me to explain real quick? If not, we'll be back again, tomorrow morning. I'll let you guys know in the Discord when I wake up. If there's anything on the chart, I'll let you guys know. If not, then there's if there's nothing to trade tomorrow morning, there's nothing to trade, man, and we'll just be back tomorrow. Like we'll be back tomorrow evening for the isolation session, and then Friday we'll do the same thing, man. Again, don't get anxious. Everything that's going on in the markets right now, it's completely normal. This happens. There's going to be days, there's going to be weeks, there's going to be months where nothing is really tradable. And, we don't have control of that. There's too much going on worldwide. There's a lot of news going on worldwide that we can't control that. Right? So again, our job isn't to catch every move in the market. Our job is to catch and follow our rules, right? Catch the trades that are following our rules. And right now, there's nothing following our rules. There's really nothing following our rules. So just be patient, wait it out, and that's all that we could do, guys. Too many brothers. My second day locking in with Jumper's motto. Topic on change of character and valid BOS was like 10 times, man. But that's okay though, right? It's a lot of information, yo. It's a lot of information. So you know, take as much time as you need, do as many one-on-one sessions, ask as many questions as you need. Again, a question that you have is probably a question that somebody else has, I promise. So not only are you helping yourself when you ask those questions, but you're helping everyone else around you. And again, there's nothing wrong with asking questions, right? It's the same thing in school, right? When you're in school and you don't understand something, you're going to ask your teacher a question, right? And if you don't ask the teacher the question, you're leaving that classroom mad confused. And then Friday comes around and you have the quiz, and you have no clue what the quiz is about because you didn't ask that question. You're still confused, right? And in school, fuck it, you got a F, but you got 10 other, you got 10 other exams for the rest of the year. You could still pass, right? Trading isn't like that. In trading, if you still have questions, if you're still lost, it's no longer just a F on a piece of paper. It's hundreds of dollars that you're going to be losing, right? It's going to be thousands of dollars that you're going to be losing, tens of thousands of dollars that you're going to be losing because you don't understand what it is that you're supposed to understand. And again, I say this every single stream, yo. Do not, don't feel self-conscious about asking questions. Don't feel self-conscious about being lost. I promise you, you're not the only one. And, I'm glad that Albert is here, right? Albert at one point had no fucking clue, right? You look at Albert's charts now, they look pretty good. Kendall's another one. Kendall had no fucking clue what it was, right? But then Kendall locked in. Kendall locked in, and now he's taking trades. His charts look exactly the same as mine, right? Myself, there was a point where I didn't know any of this. And it took a very long time for me to understand it and really, really understand it. Like, everybody starts from zero. There's no such thing as somebody being smarter than somebody else and somebody understands this in 1 week. That's not a real thing. It's gonna take you months. It's gonna take you a long time to understand everything because, again, there's a lot of information in the market. From entry models to market structure, there's so much information. Exactly, bro. I'm glad I was asking those questions. Those sleepless nights are getting this rookie somewhere. Facts. If you're confused about something, the only way you're not going to be confused anymore is to ask those questions. The more questions you have, the more you're going to learn. And the more you learn, the quicker it is for you to understand and grasp the entirety of what it is that we're trying to teach and what we're trying to get through. So, well, all right, guys. Hope you all have a good rest of your night. Once again, I'll let you guys know in the Discord tomorrow morning if there's anything to trade, anything to look at. If there's something to trade, if we're gonna be trading something, I'll turn the stream on and we'll talk about it. And then if not, then once again, there's just not gonna be no session tomorrow morning, but we'll do the isolation session tomorrow night and we'll go through that. And then again, hopefully my car situation is gonna be fixed already by this week, man. That shit has me so fucking stressed out. It's been a month already, man. I just want to go back home, bro. I miss my home. Good night, Mr. Albert. We'll see you tomorrow, my brother. Inferno, Kendall, everyone else. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Once again, for those watching the recording, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.